Hola, hola, everybody. Welcome to Real City Ambassadors, episode 3, with none other than Tongo Eisen-Martin. So we crossed paths for the first time in maybe it's late 2016 or early 2017 in downtown. And this is kind of an intro and a little shout out to Tony Robles because I was following his trajectory, and we went to this nice kind of open mic spot in downtown San Francisco, and he introduced Tongo to the public and to me and my girlfriend at the time, now wife. And so Tongo, he was born in San Francisco. He's a movement worker, educator, and poet who was organized against mass incarceration and extra-judicial killing of Black people throughout the United States. He has educated in detention centers in New York's Rikers Island to California's San Quentin State Prison. His work in Rikers Island was featured in New York Times. He's also an adjunct faculty at the Institute of Research in African American Studies at Columbia University. Subscribing to the Freirean model of education, he designed curricula for oppressed people's education and projects from San Francisco all the way to South Africa. His latest curriculum on extrajudicial killing of Black people, We Charge Genocide Again, has been used as an educational and organizing tool throughout the country. He uses his craft to create liberated territory wherever he performs and teaches. He recently lived and organized around issues of human rights and self-determination in Jackson, Mississippi. He is back in San Francisco. He is the author of 2 critically acclaimed poetry books, Someone's Dead Already. Boom, that's where I was reading it. And Heaven is All Goodbyes. Boom, this is what we might even cover in a little bit. Without further ado, everybody, Tongo Eisen-Martin.
Hey, man, what's happening?
Man, it feels good to have you, man. I really appreciate this this moment we have virtually to chat.
Right. Virtually, still powerfully.
You know, I kind of want to start with, so I just want to just mention, so we got these 2 books that night when we finally, for the first time, heard you speak. And I'll never forget, and look, I opened one right here, and it says, Maria and Rodrigo, your brother. And then you signed it, right? And then in the other one, it says, Rodrigo and Maria, somewhere it is still sucker free. That just encompasses, that just says kind of like the type of hope you give people, you know, from your poetry, from your words, from your presence. And it really stuck to me. So it's been like 2-3 years since I've had it, and I've try to reread, because it takes me a while to digest every sentence, but it always gives me hope.
Right on.
Let's talk about origins real quick. You know, I definitely want people to understand kind of where you come from, because that's shaped your poetry. It's shaped your frame of thought. So I just kind of want to share some visuals so that they can walk with us, you know, and kind of understand your trajectory. So I actually drove by the other day, and I know this area very well. This is 25th and Valencia.
Yeah.
Talk to us about 25th and Valencia and what that means to you.
Well, I was literally born in an apartment on 25th and on 25th in Valencia. You know, my family was more of an underground family, and so didn't really trust hospitals and this type of thing. So that's the foundation, man. That's the first porch I jumped off of.
Both your parents from San Francisco?
No, actually they're not. One from Chicago, the other one from Brooklyn.
Word. And they met here in the city then?
No, they met in Chicago, but my mother had been out here before for doing movement work since like the 60s.
You know? And Tongo, though I hadn't heard the name Tongo. Is there an origin to the name or
so
history behind it?
Actually, on my birth certificate is Tongo Gara.
Okay.
And that's named after Josiah Tongo Gara, who was the general in the Zimbabwe War for Independence. It was really like, you know, kind of the Che Guevara of the southern region of Africa. And he was
This gentleman?
Yeah, that's him right there. And
wow.
he was whacked right after they won the revolution. You know, because he was, you know, kind of the people's champ, and he was coming so principally. But the name itself means perseverance in the Shona language.
How early did you know who this gentleman was, and did that kind of shape who your identity?
These rundowns from birth, man.
Really?
This is how I learned. This is how I learned how to talk. This is how I was taught to spell P-I-G. So man, yeah, no, these type of mandates was put on me early, man. You know, it's almost like movement is the family business. You know, but really it would be the perseverance that I'd always return to, or why, you know, the family would always comment like, man, they named you right, you know what I mean? Because it would require and continues to require a lot of perseverance to keep trying to advance the struggle and advance, you know, groovy art.
So that was first at home. You know, a lot of our values and our outlook in life are shaped from the closest, right? After that is in la escuela, school. You know, what can you tell me about this image right here?
I got lucky again, man. And Meadows Livingstone, fondly known as Gale School. You know.
Wait, it changed? The name changed?
Nah, that's the shorthand. You know what I mean? Oh, you go to Gale School. So
what does that mean?
Gail Meadows. So you have a picture of Gail Meadows right there. She started the school in like the 80s, in the early 80s. And she was just like, man, I'm putting a school together for young, gifted Black children. You know, with a you know, you know, it's just a freedom school, man. It's just a movement, commitment. You know, there wasn't no you know, ethnic studies or something. We're the study.
Yeah,
and everything after that, you know, white studies is ethnic studies. You know, we can study.
That's true.
But that was another. You know, that's just kind of like that. That's how my upbringing was reinforced. Now, that's not to say that everybody that came through there now is running around with a black beret on or something, or like
pitching machete. Yeah,
you know, 80s babies. You know, people went different ways. But for me, it was crucial. And Gail, you know, Gail Meadows is just really a genius educator, like a child whisperer of with no peer, you know.
What was it like going to school there? What did the curriculum look like?
So again, you know, it centered us. You know,
it centered you. Okay. How so?
It centered us. So, you know, we're gonna learn, you know, Afro-Caribbean drumming, not do re mi.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna learn, you know, we're not gonna learn, you know, you know, we're gonna learn civil rights history. You know, as the main course, not just the blip in the history textbook, you know.
Not just February.
And even just the way that the day was structured, man, it was really like it really, you know, it was you know, we would be grounded. Like the first, okay, if I'm, I don't have.
You can say whatever you want.
No, I ain't worried about that. I'm just, I hope no Gale School alums out there like that. It did not happen like that. In my mind, that we would get like the beginning of the school day. It would be grounded in like a school conversation. You know, that'd be like out the gates. The first thing we do in the morning, we all like get in this big circle and you just talk about something you seen or how something made you feel or something like that. Like, you know, speaking on whatever issues is going on. You know, it was like, you know, almost in a way we was talked to like, you know, that we were, you know, that we were going to live for our people. We were going to live, you know, to, you know, again, the advanced struggle. And so we, you know, so it was really like, you know, it was we got like you know, an adult's respect.
And this was elementary, middle school, or just elementary?
Elementary school.
Got it. And look, so I went around looking to where the school was or is, and I didn't realize it was right here all along. Like I had no clue about the school. It's a nonprofit, right? It's ran.
I'm not sure how the bread is structured. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, I mean, I know a lot of people. You know, she'll, you know, if y'all had the money, she'll let you know. Like there'd be other ways to you know, it'd be like you can kind of work for your tuition or, you know, just like whatever the school needs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like if somebody didn't have it, then, you know, somebody can do something secretarial, you know. It's just like, you know, it's just like a real people's effort. You know, it started off in Ocean View though.
Oh, were you going to Ocean View?
Yeah, that's where when I was first going there, it started in Ocean View.
Got it.
And then moved to the Potrero spot.
Interesting. And so where would you go to middle school and high school?
Well, you know, then things.
You got a homeschool?
Once I got out of the bosom of a freedom school thing, things took a few little twists and turns.
Well, you had the baggy clothes like we did over here?
Man, well, you know, man, I might have wandered in and out of some trouble, you know. But then ended up at Branson High School in Marin County.
Wow, that's
up
north.
Yeah,
I hear a lot from like, you know, when I get a chance to reread, you know, you always reference public transportation and Muni. And I kind of want to talk, and I'm going to show this image just of Muni lines and maybe walk us through kind of what were some of your favorite Muni lines, because I noticed from your poetry, like obviously very descriptive and observant. And where did that come from in San Francisco for you?
So was my bus lines the 24, the 22. So
the bus, that 24th goes through Divisadero. Right.
Yeah, it's basically it goes from Fillmore to Hunters Point.
That's right, all the way over here.
You know.
Got it. I see. And then the 22nd also Fillmore.
22 also goes to Fillmore. You know, we used to go to the Western Addition Cultural Center every day. Well, they call it the African American Arts and Culture Complex now, but back then it was the Western Addition Cultural Center. We was on the 9 San Bruno, on the 14 Mission.
What did you do at the Cultural Center? What was like some activities and?
Man, you know, it was a few. You know, we in there,
hang out,
and we be in there doing like capoeira. You know, you know, come to think of it, that's like that's a whole nother you know, that's a whole nother pillar of a revolutionary upbringing, I guess. But
what was
you know, there was like we do black plays, you know, and just being there. You know, Danny Glover's daughter used to be in there.
What?
And he would be in there, man.
Mm.
And we'd be crawling all over him like he was hella cool. You know what I mean? You guys don't know, man. Danny Glover is one of us. But yeah, man, you know, I think it's a underemphasized win actually of the more radical times in history, that we did get our hands on these cultural centers. So like, yes, a lot of our mobilization was, you know, destabilized, or you know, all kind of different potentials, political potentials we had were destabilized. But these cultural institutions were, you know, were fought for, were taken, and were maintained even throughout, you know, throughout the 80s and the 90s. So it was really like liberated territory.
I know exactly where you come from. My spot was the Mission Cultural Center, right? It's kind of like you can say the Latino version of it, but they were all granted, the communities were granted that space from the city in the 70s or late 60s, 70s, right? So that we can have a home and a place to express ourselves and empower ourselves. So I see the same way maybe that how you saw the African American Cultural Complex Center. Definitely. Same way I saw it with you know, MCCLA. You know? Definitely. And you say you mentioned the 14th and the 49, because you were living in the Mission at that time, or you would always go back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, I wanna talk about just real quick. I like to reference this book a lot.
Right on.
And then as I was reading, I noticed that the title of the book comes from the poem For the 14 Mission Street.
Yeah.
You know, and what I want to show people what 14th and Mission looks like. And I want you to maybe just describe what 14th and Mission were the inspiration for the.
Let's take a look. And now, I mean, you know, one of the things about the 14 too is just you know, so it runs from one end of this. Well, it does the elbow, but it's one border of San Francisco to another border of San Francisco. And actually, man, you know, the thing about the 14 is the 14, you know, it ran real late. And if you didn't have anywhere to go and you didn't have, you know, like, so we would roam, like, you know, I mean, even not just for lack of activity, if some cats couldn't go home, just to kind of like to stay warm, you know, we'd just mob up and down and you just let the 14 flips and you stay on it. And so cats basically ride from one end of the city to another. Yeah, like, man, just back and forth. So, you know, it's just like cats who know about these mission buses, man, you know, just know that they were like, you know, you could make like an HBO show just on the bus on the bus life alone. And, you know, that building right there,
the Armory.
They actually shoot porn in there?
They used to, yeah.
That was, I guess we knew it. We thought it was an urban myth or something. It's like, bro, you know, here and not just any old porn like that. That's where they shoot
the kinky one,
the bestiality. Yeah.
And then you have a lot of the folks skateboarding here. You always have the crews.
Right. You got Valencia Gardens right down the street, and you had, you know, Rainbow used to be right there. Right, Rainbow.
No way. Right here.
Rainbow. Yeah, it used to be. Well.
Or no?
Or no, it was down the it was down Valencia a little bit. It was on Valencia, I mean. So like one block up. But you know, Rainbow used to actually be a black owned co-op.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, man. Now it's all like, you know, now they charge you $50 for a carrot, you know. And that's no knock. I know that Rainbow had to do with it. With I think they still, it's still a work on co-op, and they still, treating each other well in there. And I know they had to just adjust to survive. But Rainbow was originally a black owned all black worker owned cooperative.
As you say you spend a lot of time on like Muni on the 14th, 49th, 22nd. Were you just, I mean, you're obviously like, I was just being a teen, but because of your background, were you always kind of just analyzing how every single part of San Francisco looked differently in terms of people coming in and out, and what did that ever spark any conversation?
I think we didn't know. I didn't know it though. Yeah. That's one of the beautiful things about San Francisco or the old San Francisco is how just distinct how singular all the neighborhoods are. Even in a national, you know what I mean? Like there's no neighborhood in the world like the Mission.
Yeah.
There's no neighborhood in the world like Fillmore. You know what I mean? Like, so you had these just like super singular neighborhoods. And you just had this kind of like access to them. I think the thing about San Francisco is like it was kind of like the easiest to traverse. They never really felt kind of like boxed in. Always could just kind of free to move about. And just we would just be running around there just trying to find cuts to smoke in.
Yeah.
About the smoker cuts. I know. I was spoiled. I think it wouldn't be until I got out into the world some and just saw how, just kind of how cookie cutter a lot of other neighborhoods are. I mean, they still have like beautiful people within them and have their have their kind of cultural institutions. But it's so passively stimulating, or San Francisco, one of those cities, it's like you don't even have to do much or get into much to just kind of being a little bit more, just kind of a little bit more of an intellectual space. I would say, but me, I don't know, man. The past moves farther and farther away. I feel like I had my I probably had my charms or had a kind of like a little interesting little way about me, but I don't think I was anything extraordinary. What's interesting is I'm almost cheating.
How so?
With my poetry, because my poetry is very much just an extension of just how people kind of just communicate, how people just communicated, like, and I think we are just like a little bit like San Francisco, really the Bay Area. We like a little jazzier, a little bit more into kind of like philosophical improvisation, just a little, we kind of a little bit more musical here. And so these trains of thought that have come to to develop. I can't say I invented it.
Right. I'm gonna jump ahead a few years, and then I'm gonna show folks an image. But before we leave San Francisco, because you've lived in other places, was there a person or even a character that kind of stood out to you while you were living in San Francisco prior to traveling to other places? Was there like a role model that really stood out to you?
Man, who should I tell you who I give props to, right?
Who do you give props to? All right.
Who needs a shout out right now? It actually is a little missing part of my biography. So we used to get sent to this dojo, also in Fillmore by this cat named Jim Larkin, and he had they were really the Larkins. It was him and his three sons, and they would train cats in Shotokan karate, but now they also they had, you know, they had this whole movement history. So like they were the ones that trained the Black Panthers. They would train the FOI, you know. They just had this, you know, and they would always be like, you know, where's your consciousness at? And they really have trained just, you know, they some brothers that trained like generations of Black people in the Bay Area, you know, from the explicitly revolutionaries just to the, you know, just to the kids that need to learn something. And actually now they run it. They used to have their own separate dojo, but then I believe it was the son Jimmy who told the family that now we need to just bring this all the way into like the, you know, just all the way into the community. I mean, they were already in the community, but you know, we need to just open this all the way up. And so they started teaching actually in what's now the African American Arts and Culture Complex. So
how long did you study under them?
Man, you know, I don't remember. I should have stuck with it probably a little bit longer, man. But you know, single digits.
Yeah.
Single digits, maybe a couple years in the double digits. You know, I got my what I get. I think I got a blue belt. You know, but we used to win all the tournaments, man, because they just trained us way harder. You know what I'm saying? Like they just worked us way harder, man. You know. And I'm not gonna say like beat us up, but you know, because it was always under control, and they never gave you more than what you could handle. But man, it was just like it was serious. I mean, because you know, you know, life, you already know, Black and brown to have a Black and brown life is to be in a war. You know what I'm saying? In a war against us. So it wasn't like, oh, we doing this, you know. We're not doing this for play. This is for your real. This is for your real survival. You know. But then, you know, I can't. It's just like, man. As soon as you just couldn't give me independence. As soon as you asked me what I wanted to do, I didn't want to do anything structured.
I'm gonna talk about a little bit of structure here. I want to jump straight to this because by the time you were in New York, from what I've read and heard, you know. You were already involved in the poetry scene, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I just got super
lucky.
What
is this place right here?
So that's the New Eurekan Poets Cafe. You know, I'm thinking, again, this is all just more reasons really why I'm not that spectacular. You know what I mean? Because it's just like I just been around ill people, you know, ill institutions this whole time. I'm like, damn, I need to be doing more. I should be way more than what I am right now, given this foundation. But this here, so this here is the New Eurekan Poets Cafe in the Lower East Side, which is just like it's a mecca for poetry. And it was, you know, it was started by cats like Miguel Piñeiro. You know, I like that Piñeiro movie. Everybody should check that out on the poet. He was a poet and a playwright. I don't know if people might have seen the movie Short Eyes. It was actually a play he wrote. I think he even wrote it in jail. You know, I mean, and he was like, you know, he was off the hook. You know, really.
What's the name of the documentary or movie?
The movie's called Short Eyes.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, definitely. And
you should too.
And and there's, you know, what's his name? Benjamin Bratt got the played him. I think the movie's called Piñeiro. But it's you know, it's just a place, man, where cats that were just like really were just super innovative, just really synthesized their own, you know, just their own, just brilliant, you know, just brilliant poetry, brilliant playwriting, but really, you know, synthesize it from their experience and from their, you know, from their community.
What was it like for you to be on that, I don't know, platform or stage in front of how many people were able to fit?
Man, that's the thing, man. I mean, you know, don't let me remember wrong, but I feel like you could get like 200-300 people in there. You know, I mean, like
the fire department didn't say anything.
Don't let me say nothing that get reported to New York Health Code. You know, but I mean, like it be wall to wall, people sitting on the floor, like no space, like you know what I mean. When the seats pull up, people sitting on the floor. They had this whole like balcony floor part. People are hanging off the rafters, man. And the stage, so the stage is just this small square, right?
Let's see.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. You know what? And that picture right there, I think that's a I think that's a new. I think that was not new. But that's not even. I don't think that's the original rectangle. You know
what do you mean? Was it smaller?
Because it was like, man, really no room, man. Like you're really just, and it's just like right in front of you.
Right here.
People. Let me see. Yeah. Well, that's the yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my man Jive right there. I think that's Jive Poetic on the stage. Who is that? Yeah, that's Jive Poetic, man. That's Big Bro right there, you know.
What do you mean, Big Bro? Like what was the relationship with him?
Crash course, man. And it was a building full of crash courses, man. Cats that really tell you, man, okay, this is what you're doing right, and this is what you might want to not do anymore.
No way. Wow, you had because like that's my question always. Like, you know, I know that poetry is very free flowing and you kind of learn your own craft, but where do you find these mentors, right, that can spit some game? And
you know, I think, man, I think it's just like when people are doing something at a really high level, it really is just so much about it's so much like craft advances through dialogue, you know. That is so it's really just a building full of conversations. It's a building full of conversations about poetry. It's a building, you know, full of conversations about, you know, social reality in general. But it's just like, so, you know, people are happy to have another voice to add to that, you know, really just to add to the investigation. You know, so I just think like, man, when Renaissance is kind of when people are modernizing something or synthesizing something new, or really just, you know, really just taking craft to another level. That's almost what it is.
Yeah,
a series of conversations, and then you know what we do with that advice. But Jive particularly and Mahogany Brown also were especially hands-on and just helping people develop.
Was it nerve-wracking just to be on that rectangle, or was it something that you just felt like you were at home?
You know what I'm saying? I just took that like a duck to water, man. Actually, you know what's trippy, man? I actually wasn't like I'm actually not that entertaining, man. I'm not like I actually wasn't. It was I had to wander through a couple mentalities before I really got my feet underneath me as far as how I was gonna approach a microphone. Yeah. But you know, it's you know what I did learn early is that on the other side of nervousness is power. You know, like and in fact, you know, stage fright is the best thing to feel because all of that can be converted, you know. But you know, man, if you attracted to a craft, you got a knack for something, like it's that gravity is going to be stronger than any little obstacle, you know. It's not really going. Again, I cannot take credit, man.
Yeah, and so these were some of, like, you can even call them mentors, you know, so to speak.
Man, big brothers, big sisters, or shit, big siblings.
Yeah.
You know,
and I know that, you know, in New York, like, let me show this one. You were also sometimes like a big brother, like a big sister.
Friends out in Kent. Oh man, oh Lord have mercy.
Can you tell me about?
Man, so I was a case manager over there.
Okay.
I was a case manager at Friends Violent Academy. It was basically started by. It was started actually by teachers who taught in Rikers Island. And they wanted to have, they felt like the kids they worked with didn't have services when they got out. So they started this nonprofit that was just, you know, it kind of had some case management, there was an education program and an employment program in there. And so yeah, man, I was a case manager in there, but they fired me, man. They fired me for insubordination, man.
Let's take it down now then.
Yeah, man, get that out of there, man.
Because I mean, I can imagine that they had certain structures that wanted to be followed, and you were. I'm assuming. I'm just.
I won't even roast. I could roast. I can seriously roast.
Right.
I can seriously roast them. I won't. I'll just say that I think, you know, what and probably I imagine this is this is something that's happened 1,000 times. You know, regardless of the solid place you start from, at a certain point, when, you know, funding and deliverables and policy and connections, all that start to pull at the actual human potentials of what's going on, then things are going to get, you know, things are going to get shaky. And also, we need a revolutionary transformation of this society. And so basically, you know, all this shit is just these nonprofits is really just kind of like social custodial work. Not really getting that, you know what I mean, what really needs to happen. Because like, what does this kid really need a job at the grocery store? You know, do they really, is the GED really, like, you know, I mean, it's something I found in all, you know, so it's not just Friends of Island Academy, but the outcomes, the deliverables, you know, are what don't put any dent.
Yeah. And oftentimes it feels like you're dealing with numbers.
Right.
You know? And I speak for the nonprofit, some folks in the nonprofit were like, we're also tired of seeing the fact that deliverables, impact, how many people. It's like, well, let's just talk about them at a personal level, like where they want to be, how they want to be, instead of giving them this packet of things that need to be delivered.
Man, and what happens too when it's all about those numbers, then you start clipping people, and I'm not talking about staff, but start changing your so-called population in order to make sure they get them numbers. So at point A, it's just like, you know, we don't have that grant that says you got to have X amount of people graduate with GED. Then regardless of where a cat comes in, they fine, right?
Yeah,
work with you forever. But now if it's like, look, you need this percentage need to graduate within X amount of months to maintain this money. Well, then when that kid comes in and just cannot read and is is just illiterate, and you know, then they gonna, you know, they either not gonna work with them, or they gonna get them out of there. You know, they're gonna get them out of there quick. They're not gonna have the same leeway. They're not gonna extend the same really care, because they gotta, you know, they gotta have participants, so-called participants, who will get them the numbers that they've promised to deliver. You know, but that's like, man, that's everywhere. And really, I mean, really, it's just part of the corporatization of everything. It's just like basically how you know, what should be kind of public works. You know, it should be public social work. It should be something that the state provides. You know,
right.
It's just basically put in corporate hands, because that's where they get their money from.
Yeah, and all the strings attached don't make it easy for, let's say there is a nonprofit that begins with a lot of the great intentions, like you said, down the line, once all these strings are attached, how do you stay afloat? How do you stay true to the mission without being corrupted? And then
the cold part is then the system will dump you. You know? Then the nonprofit gets dumped because however the kind of like political winds blow, you know, because I don't know where they at now, but I did get a word that, you know, they had greatly scaled down, you know,
during these times. Oh yeah, They're cutting
after like
being
sometime after I was gone, like, you know, that it was the curse of playing me out.
How did you coming back to the city? What was it like for you after being out of the city for a while and then coming back?
I was like, damn, I wish I had never left, because if I had known that that was going to be the end of civilization, I would have stuck around to enjoy it more, man. You know, it's like coming back to it. Just it was really a parallel universe, man. You know, really a dystopia. You know, because like white supremacist culture, corporate culture is just so disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the eyes. It's disrespectful to the spirit, you know. It's just it's mind numbing, it's inhibiting. You know, there's really like it's anti-people, man. You you turn a city into a corporate campus.
Yeah, it's a playland.
Yeah. And then in the meantime, you really like kicking you know, what was it? How many grandmothers got thrown out? You know, you kicking out the grandmothers, you know what I mean? You shooting you shooting Mario Woods, like, you know.
Well, just in the mission, there was like over 10,000 people that were evicted and pushed out. That's just the mission. It doesn't talk about the Bayview, doesn't talk about Excelsior. And that's on like 8 years.
And the mission was like the first target.
Yeah.
First and I mean, walking through, you like, where am I? You know?
Yeah, when you start seeing the price of the super burrito go up. Because I went to San Diego for a while and it came back and I was like, damn, I don't have enough for this burrito anymore.
I don't have enough for a burrito, man. No, it's actually disgusting. You know, my parents are not from San Francisco, right? San Francisco has always been a transplant type of town. San Francisco really, you know, I mean, Fillmore been around, you know, Fillmore was Harlem of the West, but a lot of San Francisco is relatively new. Like, don't even go back too far, you know what I mean? Right. Like, as opposed to like a New Orleans or something that has like, you know,
right,
that's just like really an old world contraption. But you know, it wasn't on the other side of an ethnic cleansing, these transplants, you know. So you come here because of whatever affinity you have or whatever attraction you had to the place, whether it's some movement stuff or, you know, because, man, the Bay Area really is where, you know, we're almost like where white supremacist culture was weakest, just as far as like, you know, nobody want to leave it to Beaver over here, you know what I mean? Like, it's all resistance culture, counterculture, even if there's no guns involved, you know, just people with, where is the long hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it had that thing going on. So it's like, man, people come out here for this and that. That's cool. You come in, you go with the flow, you know, and you contribute, you know, to the village. But this just, if you wipe the people out, you know, what you're dancing on top of is you're dancing on top of a dry genocide.
My critique of San Francisco as a San Franciscan is, and I always tell this to folks that are, you know, haven't lived here for a while and have this distorted view of SF as this, you know, it's all painted in roses. I say, look, I think San Francisco is culturally progressive, but economically, it's been conservative for a long time.
Yeah.
Prior to, you know, the redlining that happened in the 20s kind of showed the progress or the lack of progress of certain communities in San Francisco. And it's, you know, there's been that inequality, you know, for decades. But we managed to be all groovy together, you know, through this, the building of cultures.
I think you know, yeah, man, and always, bro, always been an apartheid city. San Francisco always been an apartheid city. I think it was, and you know, they've been taking shots at us from the jump.
Yep.
You know, you remember even when before the earthquake, when the freeway used to run all the way to Fell Street.
Yep.
Well, they originally built that. When they built that, they took out 12,000 Black residents.
Yep.
So they've been taking pot shots at us. You know, I mean, they've been picking away at our population for, you know, for decades and decades. I think where the nail, you know, where the biggest nail the world has ever seen went to the coffin was when
first hour? No.
with the what you call it, with the with the thing about tech being that, you know, that you have all this deindustrialization is, you know, is the flavor of the, you know, is the flavor of the century, but they can't deindustrialize the Bay Area because they can't move tech industry somewhere else. You can't. It has to be here. It has to be centered here.
But is it centered here with everyone moving away because they can work from home? I'm really curious to see what San Francisco and the Bay is gonna look like.
You know, without a revolution, brother, I think it'll be some kind of version of the same, because you just can't have Black and brown people this oppressed near this kind of like power, you know. Because I mean, you know, Silicon Valley is the closest thing we got to a castle to storm.
It's right next door.
You know, San Francisco, the closest thing we got to the Salesforce. We're gonna, you know, we can storm the Salesforce building, you know. But you know, I you know, who knows? I don't think they're gonna I think it's gonna require just a, you know, a revolutionary sum total.
Speaking of you and the revolution, I want to share this one right here.
Yeah, man.
Tell me what's going on over here, and tell me about City Lights Books.
And so man, my other big bro, Josiah Luis Alderete, who's
shout out to Josiah.
You know Josiah for sure.
Yeah.
Cold poet. He also works at City Lights, and so he did this little quick series of having poets come spit out the windows. So that's just me rocking out the window, man. I rocked out the window for like 30 minutes or something like that.
But you have another relationship with City Lights, right? You're part of this Pocket Poet series. What is the Pocket Poet series?
So the Pocket Poet series, I feel like I feel like the tour guide that's gonna get fired. You know what I'm saying? Over here, about to make up some facts. You know what I'm saying? Like Slumdog Millionaire. Like,
I'm putting you on the spot right here.
Little known fact. Now, I mean, well, you know, so the kind of like the beats, you know, they're heavy hitters published through this series, through the Pocket Poet series. So like how, you know, the Allen Ginsberg How book, you know, it is like these kind of like landmark beat books are all through this series. And then it got, you know, or Diane DePrima, I was just reading her Revolutionary Letters the other day. Beautiful work. So like the beats are published through that, and it actually like it also you know, really got international in scope. It's really it's an honor. It's almost like the, you know, it's their flagship poetry series. It really was an incredible honor to be published in that series. And
now you have your own publishing venture. Can you tell us about the Black Friday Press?
Black Friday Press, yeah. So you know.
Can I interject before you? Just have a question. Does the Black Friday Press have anything to do with this? Has any connection to the Black Friday Press?
Man, it don't, man. I was about to tell you. I was about to
from Watchmen.
I had a feeling you was gonna go there too, because it would not be a visual reference, man. It's a music reference. So there was this kind of like I think it was like a French musical called Pirate Jenny, or a song within it is called Pirate Jenny. And it's about it's about like basically there's this woman who's she's like a maid in a hotel, and this ship, a black freighter, is posting. It's just out, you know, kind of like out at the dock, you know. And so like the whole twist is, you know, there's basically all these, you know, kind of just rich jackasses, you know, all living it up, having a good time. They don't know that this ship is about to raid the town, and they don't know that this maid, Pirate Jenny, is actually the captain of that ship. So it's like, you know, we're like, I'm counting the heads as I'm making the beds, because nobody's gonna sleep in here tonight. You know?
Watch out.
You dig? And so actually Lorraine Hansberry suggested to Nina Simone that she sing it, right? And so it just turned into this whole other just spiritual experience, man. You know, where she sings the song, tells this story, but it, you know how much it mirrors, you know, the reality of oppressed people here and the potentials of oppressed people, you know. So yeah, that's where, so Black Freighter is where I pulled that from.
You're going to be publishing poetry, maybe other books. What have been some books that have influenced your life?
Man, books, Song of Solomon. Yeah. I'm trying to think like formative wise. I think Song of Solomon was just, you know, man, was just
it's a classic.
It's just a classic, man. Just a ill, almost just an, I don't know, like an education, almost you know, a spiritual education as well. Like it just that book just vibrated me so much. Aikwe Arma is a Ghanaian novelist. His book called The Healers.
The Healers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it.
That also vibrated me. You know, what else, man? I'm trying to find some poetry. You know, I kind of came to reading poetry later, man. But I'll say,
how later? What's later mean?
After I already kind of had my thing going. After I already had my voice. You know, I read a lot of nonfiction. You know, and if we were to go there, you know, Wretched of the Earth was a crucial book. The autobiography, you know, Assata Shakur's autobiography. You know, just books of Malcolm X speeches. But man, poets I wandered into. Everybody needs to read Roque Dalton's Small Hours of the Night. It's an anthology called Small Hours of the Night. That really blew my mind. You know, the Audre Lorde, they got this big anthology now with all her stuff. Definitely check that out.
Okay, so this is the Small Hours.
There he is. Now this cat was crazy, man. You know, because he was a poet and a no holds bar revolutionary. In fact, he was killed in a political struggle.
Wow. Okay, I'm adding that to my list.
Yeah, definitely. You know, shit. Anything about June Jordan,
of course.
Etheridge Knight. You know, there's a whole bunch of killers have come before us. Lorraine Hansberry, LeBlancs.
LeBlancs.
Yeah, she wrote a play called LeBlancs, The Whites.
You know, interesting.
You know?
Look her up.
Check that out.
Is this the?
You know, man, she's a she don't get enough. She don't get enough. She was way beyond her time. I mean, just kind of like her revolutionary really influence on others, man, is not emphasized enough.
Mm.
You know, she ought to say she was way, you know, way more than and not to say that Raising in the Sun isn't, you know, beautiful, but that Raising in the Sun is just one pine cone on the tree.
Mm. So I always ask the same 3 questions to all the folks that come on. You know, the first is what's your favorite restaurant or favorite restaurants in the city?
Two Jacks.
Two Jacks.
Two Jacks.
What kind of food do they sell?
It's like, you know, seafood, soul food. You know, you can get you some good catfish there. It's a good shrimp sandwich.
Let's see. I'm bringing it up. Two Jacks.
Yeah.
What is it about the space?
Well, one, the food is good.
Mm.
2, you know, the family is family owned. I think they actually have 2 spots. They also have a spot by Double Rock in Hunters Point. But it's a family affair, and Two Jacks will also open their space up to, like, you know, poetry events if you want to have them, like, you know.
Word.
So it's a triple threat: good food, good family,
and good poetry.
Good.
What about favorite park?
You know, I'm gonna have to go with Dolores.
Okay.
Although I wish the gentrifiers would stop going there.
You like it back when they had like the rusty swings and everything, right?
Right, man.
Me too.
The rusty swing era, man. That's my era.
Yeah, me too. What about streets?
You know, we gotta just, you know, for you know, to shout out the Harlem of the West, you know, Fillmore. We gotta just give it to Fillmore Street.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, man. It's, you know, I was talking to this old school cat. He said in the 50s, you know, people, you know, brothers and sisters would even drive up to Fillmore from LA.
Really?
Just to get down, you know, it sounds like, and just like it just almost like a march of people up in, like almost like a protest. You know, it'd be so thick out there, man. You would just be squeezing past people, man.
God, those were times that we can only imagine.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like, yeah. Do you think you can close off with a poema?
Yeah, no problem. I go to the railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt-toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot negative. All over the United States, there are toddlers in Iraq. I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket, and why blood agreements mean a lot, and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history and take the glass freeway, white skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewage near where I collapsed into a rat-infested manhood. My new existence is living graffiti. In the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up. House of God in part, no cops in part. My body brings down to Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from the old bullets. Pray over the 28th hour's next beauty mark. Extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration. The waistband before the next protest post. Hey, by the way, time is not an illusion, Your Honor. I will save your deaths for last. Skewer witty, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. It is only raining one thing. Non-white cops and prison guard shadows reminded me of spoiled milk floating on an oil spill, a neighborhood making a lot of fuss over its demise, a new lake for a Black Panther party. Malcolm X's ballroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder, the figment of village, a new noose to a new white preacher, all in an abstract painting of a president. They bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tantric screeches of military boats and election Tuesday cars, a cold-blooded study in leg irons, proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses, that sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque piece plastic and boat action audiences. You know, the Medgar Evers second is definitely my favorite law of science. Fondled news clippings and primitive Methodists, my arm changes imperialisms. Simple policing versus structural frenzies. Elementary school script versus even white spectrums. Artless bleeding and the challenge of watching civilians think. And terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads in the arrows myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of war, with their t-shirt poems and t-shirt guilt, and me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus, I have no choice but to read the city walls for signs of my life. The end.
Which book?
Oh, which book? Like, if I had to choose between which
which book was this?
Where's the poem from? I thought you was trying to have me.
No. Would not do that.
I put to death. Nah, that's a new poem. That's not that's a new poem. Coming soon.
Coming soon.
I don't know when exactly, but yeah, that's some of the new stuff I've been working on.
That's what's up. Yo, Tongo. Gracias.
Man.
Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Respect.
Everything you do. I'm always following you. Holler at me if you ever need a holler.
Sure.
We're here holding it down, trying to keep it sucker free.
Likewise, man. Sucker free, man. We'll run it again. You feel me?
Ya tú sabes, man.
All right. All right.
All right.